body
right?
positivity is such a bullshit term. They just shit on anyone who's thin and want to celebrate being fat.
Bringing you a reasoned approach to health and fitness. This is the Phi Life Podcast.
All right, welcome to the show. I'm John Barban. With me is Brad Pilon. And today we're going to talk about the ongoing criticism or the consistent criticism specifically celebrities get, or I guess influencers, if they use something like Ozempic or if they're on TRT or something more than TRT.
They just transform their body.
They transform their body, and the immediate retort is, oh, that was just Ozempic. Oh, that was just steroids. Oh,
exactly.
You were just using Adderall or something like that. And the idea is that, oh, the drugs just do it by itself. And there's nothing, there's no effort, there's no nothing. And that sentiment can only come from someone who's never transformed their body, because drugs or no drugs, there's a lot of effort, even with drugs, to transform your body. Like you can't.
I would say, like 7 out of every 10 guys you and I know are on TRT.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that 7 out of 10 guys that we know are jacked. Like the guy,
no.
If I were to give you a spread of our buddies and be like, which ones are on TRT, you'd probably point to the 2 guys who are really in shape, and you'd be right on one of them. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of them, if you guessed, it would be lucky, because they just look like average dudes.
Yeah.
Who, like, now, if you saw what they looked like way before, you'd be like, oh, he definitely made some improvements.
Right.
They're not walking around looking like Chris Hemsworth. Similarly, all our friends who are on Ozempic or other drugs like that, they're not all walking around looking like runway models, right? The drug greases the groove, right? It makes the work. But whether it's, Meghan Trainor is a pop star who's just getting all sort of slack now for transforming her body. And I don't even know if she's on Ozempic. They're just saying, look at what Ozempic does, or Ozempic's a hell of a drug. And I'm like, dude, that woman busted her ass to look like that, right? She decided to make a change, and sure, she's wealthy, so she has a private chef and she's got time to work out, but she did work out, and she ate what the chef gave her, and she did not finish what the chef gave her and then go, I'm gonna eat a box of Pop-Tarts, right? She decided to make that. Now, making the decision not to eat the Pop-Tarts is made easier by Ozempic, but she still made that decision. She still put the work in the gym. Yeah. And it's
assuming she's even using it. We don't know.
Assuming she's even using it.
The thing is, it's stupid to even that shouldn't be a criticism. We know you can't lose weight without it. It's almost impossible to effectively lose any real amount of weight without an appetite suppressant. We could even say it that simply. And before Ozempic came along, people would take as many different things as they could. Supplements. Oh, they're all natural, so that's okay. Yeah. Like somebody responded to one of our previous podcasts talking about natural weight loss, as if that's even a thing. There's no such thing as natural weight loss. It's always a directed brute force willpower effort. There's no such thing.
Either that or like poverty and starvation, right? Like famine.
Well,
those are your options, right?
The only time weight loss arrives without you consciously forcing it is either you're really, really, really sick.
Yep.
Or you've been deprived of food against your will. There's no other way weight loss happens. Like it doesn't. You have to consciously force weight. There is no such thing as natural weight loss.
And we're putting the coke heads and all that into the really sick category. Just so right,
exactly.
No, a drug addiction is still in the really sick group. So
drug addiction is put that in that category. But either way, it doesn't arrive on its own. There's just your body's never giving up tissue if it doesn't have to.
No, and we're not talking about naturally thin people.
Yeah,
we're talking about weight loss, and it's a massively different thing we're talking about.
Bigger to smaller, not someone who never went from bigger to smaller.
Well, and every single before and after you see online, the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, would view those as extraordinary or extraordinary results. Mm-hmm. There's a reason for that, because they're extraordinary results, right? The average person has a lot of difficulty losing weight. That's why, if that wasn't true, Ozempic wouldn't sell, right? So we know it makes the process work, but you still have to make the process work to make it work. I don't know how else to say that, but you're not just sitting on the couch.
Yeah, like the evidence, the evidence that it's next to impossible to lose weight without Ozempic is the fact that people immediately call out Ozempic when they see someone now finally losing weight. Yeah, like you telling me Adele or this trainer person didn't want to lose weight 10 years ago? The option didn't exist.
No, and they tried. You tell me that they tried, and then for the body positivity crowd who's now kind of on Meghan Trainor, I think we're supposed to be body positive for all body types. So if Meghan wanted to change her body, it's Meghan's body, right? So you shouldn't have an opinion on that.
Body
right?
positivity is such a bullshit term. They just shit on anyone who's thin and want to celebrate being fat. That's all that is.
And it should be body positivity should be just you being positive about your own body and minding your business on everyone else's. So the baristas where I go get my coffee, covered in tats, all of them, right? Not one of them went to a tattoo parlor thinking, I wonder what Brad Pilon will think about my tattoos. It did not do it for me, right? Yeah. So I don't have any opinion on their tattoos because they did it because they're like, I like the way my body looks with these on. Same thing should happen if they decide to get jacked and start working out. If they decide to put on weight or lose weight, it's just body positive is, do you feel good about your body? Not what's your opinion on other people's bodies, right? So you can guess, you shouldn't have an opinion on Meghan Trainor or Lizzo or Adele's bodies because it's their bodies.
And we've talked about this for the whole time we've been in this industry, this need for people to say what's good for you. No one said, people, how often do you hear some of that? Well, that's healthy for you to do this or that's you should eat this because that's healthy for you. Well, first of all, I didn't ask your goddamn opinion. And secondly, well, really? Well, what are you doing? Like, I don't like people who don't do this for a living seem to be so cavalier and just, oh, but that's good for you. That's what you should do. Like constantly telling other people what's best for them and very hypocritically not even practicing it themselves. And, or if they do, fine, that works for you. Who says that's going to work for me? Yeah. And then didn't ask, and you're not a professional in it. But for some reason, specifically when it comes to diet, let's set body composition aside for a minute. People all seem to have a strong opinion about it and are happy to give their opinion to other people. And I've never understood that.
No, and I don't mind like when someone says, I tried that diet, I didn't like it, I didn't feel good on it. That's fine. But when they're like, that diet's bad for everyone or bad for you, and I'm like, dude, you don't know at all what you're talking about because you don't know me, right? So but it is very off-putting, right? So Chris Hemsworth's latest Thor movie, and everyone's like, steroids. And you're like, okay, but Chris put in the work. Like I could give you all the steroids you wanted. You're not going to look like that just sitting around doing nothing. And I can tell you would sit around doing nothing because your immediate reaction was steroids, right? So
because you have no clue. Anyone who acts like that, anyone who blames, anyone who says with a critical tone that someone gained weight, gained muscle mass, oh, steroids, or someone lost body fat, oh, Ozempic, that person has done neither.
But it is funny. They just can't be happy for the person, right? So
and you can't be happy. It comes back down to what's fair. It's not fair. You did it an easier way or some bullshit like that. But like we said, before Ozempic came along, people would take ridiculous stimulants to try to kill their appetite. And everybody who's lost weight's done it. Nobody they give you stops eating.
Before these new GLP-1 drugs, which sort of curb the calorie in portion, your only way towards weight loss was the drugs that stimulated the calories out portion, which were like hardcore stimulants.
Yeah.
So
like people just taking Adderall, which is just meth. Yeah.
There's always some sort of intervention, right? So, but then exercise itself is an intervention, right? Everyone's intervening. No one just sat on the couch and then became a better, more moral person and therefore lost weight.
Yeah.
Everyone intervened somehow.
Yeah. And for some reason, you just said it, there's this always a moral judgment built into it, which is just, again, we've talked about this on multiple episodes, but maybe we need to bring it up again. It all comes down to mate selection preference, and it's not fair because you're displaying better genetics than I am, even though you don't have those better genetics. You needed to intervene with drugs and exercise to look like that. I mean, we discussed someone who doesn't even think it's respectable to work out for the purpose of building muscle, for the purpose of aesthetics. Yeah. Like, she doesn't respect a guy who works out to look better. He just needs to inadvertently look better from what he does for his living. Like, how stupid is that?
In a culture where more than half the population dyes their hair right? Like,
oh yeah, and
plucks
that's
their
rich
eyebrows,
coming from a woman
puts
who wears makeup
on.
every day. It's like, well, really, what do you really look like?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
So that was the point, right? It's just that,
yeah,
but to just be every time someone does the eye roll, TRT, Ozempic, and
yeah,
what it is doing is separating the average person from being able to get the results they want because they somehow associate those with bad things. And again, this isn't a vanity thing, but there are a lot of people there who would probably benefit from talking to their doctor, be like, I have been trying forever to lose weight. It
yeah.
is not working. I'm worried about my health. I'd like to make a change. But instead, they're going to be like, but I want that change not to be the drugs that help or work because those are taboo. So can I just try another diet? I'm ultimately going to fail. Right? Like
I wonder if it's
not
just
helping anybody.
I wonder if it's just what we've understood to be the way so far, and if it was reversed. So let's say, because so right now, up until literally 3 years ago, everyone generally understood weight loss required brute force willpower effort. That was just how you did it, right? Anyone who did it, you're like, oh, look at you, because you kind of already know how hard that was. You know, like the discipline it would have taken to fight against your own urge just to eat, right? And again, people who gain weight versus people who don't gain weight, both are eating to what feels like normal, like just enough to be satisfied. But one person's system is calibrated that they just don't eat too much. The other person eats just a bit too much. And it only takes a few bites per day to be 10 pounds heavier at the end of the year. Times that by 5 years, you're up 50 pounds. Like, what happened?
Yep.
It's like I sit down across the table from Brad. We both eat what seems like
almost the same amount.
Same amount. It takes about a half an hour to eat, and we're bullshitting and talking while we're eating. How the hell am I gaining? But if you broke it all the way down to each bite we both took, I might take 5 or 6 more bites in that one meal. That's it.
I left a little bit more on my plate, right?
And Brad might have left 1 or 2 bites on his plate, right? And maybe a little bit more. So it's imperceptible what was different in the moment, but those moments add up and add up and add up over years and years and years. And somehow a decade later, Brad's still the same size and I'm 50 pounds overweight. And like, what? But we hang out together. We eat together. What did I do differently? And it's just a few bites, but the accumulation and the accumulation and the accumulation in the absence of another day where I underate took that away, which nobody does that. Everyone eats to what feels satisfying. So people who don't gain weight are just doing what people who do gain weight do, eat to satisfaction. That's what they're all doing. But a certain percentage of the population, for some reason, and we don't know why, are built in a way where they can handle the current state of our society of food abundance, obesogenic, like very low movement, right? And these aren't people who are extremely dedicated. I'm talking about people who just never gain weight. It's not like they go to the gym a lot and they're super strict with their diet. They just don't feel like eating past the bite of food that lands them right at balance. So not gain, not lose, just balance. But most people, probably 70% of the population, we aren't built to handle the food abundance and the sedentary lifestyle, which is normal because we evolved in food scarcity. But there's always a curve, right? There's some people on the edge of the curve. Now there's some people who they're definitely metabolically impaired and they they store way too much body fat for the given amount of calories going in. And then there's kind of everyone else who's just doing this slow creep because of the food abundance and caloric density. And then there's a group of people who just like, I'm kind of done now. And it wouldn't matter how much food there is. They're always just like, I'm just done now.
Yeah. And the sad thing is that where you fall on that curve is probably dictated by your genetics or probably the first 7 years of your life.
Yeah.
Right? Like eating habits that were developed then.
Your mother's eating habits while you were in utero starts it all.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. So end of day, if Ozempic didn't exist and Meghan Trainor did the same thing and had the same transformation, the comments instead of underneath saying Ozempic would just say, love to meet her surgeon, right? Like we will just have an excuse for
it. Find another way to cut her down.
Find another way to cut her down, right? Yeah. And so it's something just to remind everyone who's listening, who's in the middle of a body transformation or is deciding to just dedicate themselves to a transformation, you're going to get this pushback. Never to your face, which is great. And everybody would be really nice to you to your face, but behind your back, right? It's the must be nice to be able to afford those drugs or must be nice to know what's like it's going to be something, right? So
don't listen to those people and come back here. Yeah. We'll always support you.
Yeah. It's like whenever I get brought up, right? It's like, yeah, but the fasting's not good for him. It's going to catch up to him. And I'm like, dude, it's been 20 some odd years. We're okay, right? So, but there's always a spot to knock the person down. So you just, I mean, at least you're not Meghan Trainor having people do it publicly all the time, or Lizzo or everyone else. But just be aware.
Yeah. I want to complete the thought experiment. Imagine if it was the reverse and no one ever did the brute force willpower weight loss, but Ozempic existed 50 or 60 years ago when
with insulin, right? Like,
right when insulin was figured out, and the obesity epidemic maybe in this case doesn't technically really happen, but like as people started gaining weight, an effective drug like GLP-1s was there, and you're like, oh yeah, you just take a GLP-1 for that. And and imagine if that was the standard, that was just the standard. Yeah. And there was no body positivity thing ever happened because the obesity epidemic never happened, because we had a very, very effective quote unquote treatment back when everything started to. And then imagine now in 2025, someone's like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to willpower my weight. People be like, what are you doing? There's like, this is, why would you do that? That's like that's just like saying, oh, I've got a headache, and instead of taking headache medicine, I'm just going to feel the pain of the headache and
I was almost
willpower my way through it.
Under your thought experiment there, it would be like if, you had a friend who was diabetic, and I introduced him like, hey, this is my buddy Will. He's 45. He's type 2 diabetic. And they'd be like, 45 and still alive must be nice. Use insulin. And you're like, yeah, that's why we have insulin, right? Like, it's a drug that solves that problem.
Right. People don't want to believe being overweight's is a problem. They want to believe it's you just stuff your face with food. That's what they want to believe.
Yeah, they're just horrible people.
Which is in the face of mountains of evidence that's not. Yes, you overeat, but it's not a willpower thing. It's a lack of calibration of the sense of satiety versus how many calories went in.
Yeah,
that's actually all it is.
Definitely overeating. We're just saying that they're, anyone who's really struggling with their weight isn't just sitting there being like, I'm just going to eat 4 pies today because I don't have the willpower not to eat 4 pies. There's something up, right? There is a to your point, a miscalibration.
Yeah.
And they're struggling and suffering through it. And anybody who's got a lot of weight on them, who's actively trying to lose it, they're putting in as much effort as possible. It's just difficult. And this is something that makes it easier. So I just wanted to kind of point out that, and we can flip it to the TRT and testosterone and steroids for any guy who gets in shape, right? Same thing. It just takes a lot of work, and most people don't want to do that work. But it's not good for anyone to keep up that sort of this natural fallacy, I guess, of if you just do things right, you will end up looking like a Greek god or goddess.
And I don't understand why they're criticizing people who that's not even their industry. It's not like this trainer person selling a weight loss diet.
No.
And she's lying about how she lost her weight. We don't even know if she's using Ozempic, but the attack is as if she sold that exact person.
She's cheating.
She's like, wait a minute. Yeah. I bought her product that she said was something else, and now I find out she's on Ozempic, or I'm skeptical and I think she's on Ozempic. What is she, a singer? She's
she's a singer. She's not an Olympic athlete. She's not cheating your country out of a gold medal, right?
She's not selling weight loss to anybody. So who cares? That's the other thing. The only criticism I can kind of understand is if that person sold you something, you paid money under the false pretense that their specific body transformation had something to do with whatever you bought from them. Like, let's say it's a workout, let's say it's a supplement, I don't know, some kind of food meal plan thing. And then you come to find out after the fact, oh, that's false, and they were on Ozempic.
Yeah. Megan, please don't come out with a supplement, because that would ruin our whole argument.
Not now. But that to me, I get there could be a criticism there. It says, well, wait,
that is lying or cheating.
Yeah, that's I see that you've lost weight. Now you've extracted money from me saying it was this when it was really that.
Yeah.
So I can see that, but other than that, I don't know why people have an opinion on any of this. It's just well, I know we do know why. It's just a sad statement, and it's those people's problem. If whatever you're doing to change the look and shape of your body, go for it, and just forget what everybody else has to say. It's more a statement about their problems with themselves versus with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good spot to leave it.
Yeah. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. It's a good one. All right.
Perfect.
Catch you guys later.
See you.